the one and only Anthony Lionheart Smith, kind enough to join us here. Anthony, how are you?
I'm good, Ariel. How are you?
I don't know if you saw, but it's like you and a bunch of European fighters on today's show. One of these things is not like the other, but you're the guy. You're the guy right in the middle leading the charge. I don't know if you saw that.
No, I didn't see it. I've been training all morning,
Oh,
so I
excuse
jumped
me.
right on here.
All right. Well, I apologize.
I took time out of my day
Yes,
to come here and speak to my man, Ariel.
that means a lot. I was just getting emotional talking about the people who take time out of their day to come on and speak to me. By the way, I also did mention, you didn't hear this, and I hope you don't mind. I said, pound for pound, you're one of the best texters in MMA because, I'll say, Anthony, can you come on at 9:30? You write, okay, period. Anthony, how are you? I'm doing well, period. I mean, the punctuation that I don't know how you keep up with it. I don't know how you don't just want to fire off the text, but I think a lot of people should know this about you. You're a phenomenal texter.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. It bothers me when it actually doesn't bother me if other people don't use correct punctuation in their or is like spelling. My wife is a terrible texter. Like if she can abbreviate any word, she absolutely will. But I don't know. It bothers me if I don't put the correct punctuation in there.
I respect it. So where are we right now? We're in Colorado?
Yeah, I'm in Denver right now.
Getting ready for the fight September 18th, Ryan Spann. I have to ask you, Anthony, I was watching the broadcast on Saturday afternoon, the card on ESPN Plus, and they show a great promo, a little package, 2-3 minutes on this fight in the middle of the card. Really well done. Got me hyped for the fight. And I don't know if you saw it, but my takeaway, and I know others shared the same sentiment because I saw some tweets, Ryan, to me, came across as very mad in that package. And I don't know if he was playing a character or something, but did you see this video? And why is he so upset? Why is he so fired up for this?
I didn't see it live,
Okay.
but I had enough people reach out that I was like, all right, maybe I'll go back and watch and see what this is about. I don't know, what a nerd. Like, I just laughed at it the whole time. Like, what are you so mad about? It sounds like it sounds a lot of like trying to convince himself, like, why does he, obviously the producers and stuff that are like, because those weren't like super feel good moments for me. I think you and I have talked on your show before about like those moments were, initially very happy, but there's a lot of sadness that comes with that, so I don't brag and throw in people's face. So like, it sounds like a bunch of shit that's bothering him that he's got to convince himself with. And then at the end, he hit me with the old Watchmen quote when Rorschach was in prison. Like, you're not locked in there, like, I'm not locked in there with you. You're locked in there with me. Like, get out of here, you fucking dork. Like, I listen, I don't want to take this too deep because there's no beef there. I definitely don't have his respect, which is fine. I will, next Saturday night. I promise you that. But he's not scary to me because he's big, strong, and black. Like he's like every single cousin I have on my dad's side. Like it's not super intimidating to me. So I don't know. Maybe he's not used to that. But big, black, scary guys don't make me nervous.
Okay, so you said something that was really interesting there. You said you don't think that he respects you. Now I'm wondering, do you respect him? Because also in that clip, and let's be honest, like you have fought the best of the best, as you reminded us, and you have been around for a long time. And there's not a big name from Jon Jones on down who you haven't at this point fought. You were like, I fought a bunch of Ryan Spanns early in my career. Like this, do you respect him, or is this kind of like a tune-up fight for you in your view?
No, it's the furthest thing from a tune-up fight for me. He's dangerous. He's one of the more dangerous guys that I've faced in a long time. Super powerful. He's athletic. He's big. He moves well. He has a lot of positive things to his game. I respect his abilities for sure. I respect his attributes. I respect his skills. I just don't like. I guess I don't talk about him. Like I don't really know him. I have gotten a vibe that he doesn't like me. We've been in the same place before. Like we've been in situations where we're very, very close to each other. And I just get this vibe. He just doesn't like me, which is like, you don't have to like everybody, but like, sometimes I do wonder, like, I feel like I'm a kind of a hard guy to like dislike. So I don't know what that's about, but honestly, I don't give a shit either way.
Okay, so that was actually my next question. Like, is there some prior thing between you guys? Some prior issue? It sounds like there's something.
I don't know. Like, I don't know. Maybe I don't think I've said anything about him. I don't typically just go off on people that, kind of aren't in my lane. And he hasn't been in my lane until we booked this fight, so I've never really thought about him before. I've never paid attention when he fights. I don't think I've ever said anything in an interview that could be, I don't know, perceived as disrespect. Me and Uriah Hall had some beef for a little while, like a long time ago, but a couple of years ago, Uriah and I squashed that, and it's been nothing but, it's been nothing but love when Uriah and I see each other. I've been nothing but respectful to his coach, and how he's done with his team and how successful he's been. I'm a big Safe fan. So, I don't know. And that's what I mean. Like, some of that stuff that's his own insecurities. You know what I mean? Like, he's the one who kept talking, about this is a main event and I'm not nervous. Or, like, you're the one that keeps talking about it. This is everyday shit for me. You're the one that keeps bringing it up.
I was talking about you on Saturday. Outside of this fight, I was doing a post-fight show with my friends Pete and Chuck, and we were talking about Darren Till. And what I said was, Darren Till needs to look at someone like Anthony Smith. What Anthony Smith did was, all right, I'm fighting killer after killer, top contender after top contender, back to back to back to back. And maybe sometimes, and I don't think we do it enough in our sport. I don't mean I'm the one doing it, but I don't think it's a thing, especially in the UFC, because everyone's so good, especially in the upper echelon. A tune-up fight in the sense that, hey, maybe you take a step back and don't fight a top 5 guys continuously. You fight top 15, top 13, top 16, and you did that. Now, the Jimmy Crute win, I would say, is probably one of your most impressive victories because he was on this rocket ship and you just looked amazing. It was just a huge win on a big card. But you took that step back and, start to build your mojo back, your confidence back. Is that a fair assessment of where you're currently at in your career? You assessed, all right, it wasn't going well. We talked about it ad nauseum, Glover, all that stuff. Took a tiny step back, and now look at you. 2-fight winning streak, still headlining, still in big fights, but maybe the caliber isn't quite the same until you get 3, 4, 5 in a row, and then we're back to fighting those top caliber guys.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to make it to 4 or 5 in a row before I'm back in those top 5 guys in title contention stuff. But
you think less?
It wasn't initial. Yeah, I think it's less. I don't think there's a choice because so far they're not. The last 2 haven't been super competitive. So, then the UFC is not going to keep doing that. I think the UFC's idea was that I kind of stubbed my toe a couple times at the top. And I think it's a sink or swim moment for me. I don't know if it's such a kumbaya moment where it's like, all right, let's let him get back on his feet and figure it out from there. I think it's more like, all right, like if you're not beating the top 5 guys, you got to defend your spot versus these young up and comers. And I'm willing to do that because, I hate the term company guy, but like UFC's been very good for my career, and me personally and my own personal growth and success. So, I'll do the heavy lift, and nobody wants to fight Jimmy Crute. No one wants to fight Ryan Spann. Those just aren't super fun guys to fight. They're really, really tough. There's not a lot of stuff you gain from that, and it's going to not be very much fun, most likely. So, but yeah, I mean, essentially that's what it came down to is at the top of every division, you have guys who are specialists, right? And guys that are just really good at keeping the fight in their kind of arena. And the rest of the division, it's like, I know Ryan Spann takes his disrespect when I say that there's nothing that stands out about him. I don't mean that I'm not saying he's not good. I'm just saying he's not a Olympic medalist wrestler. He's not a multiple time world champion grappler. He's not 150-1 as a kickboxer. He doesn't do one thing overly better than the rest of his skills. So I don't have to worry about shit when I'm in training camp. We just have to go in and we evaluate the places that he's dangerous. And then we just try to I just try to sharpen my sword the best I can. And that's the best part about this, like when you're fighting guys like Rakic, like he's the thing that stands out about Rakic is he's a monster kicker. Like he just changed. I mean, he outkicked Thiago Santos. Nobody does that. He battered my leg with 2 leg kicks where I couldn't barely stand. Like, you got a guy like Glover who's got a nasty left hook and his jiu-jitsu is fucking fire. You know, like you got Jan Blachowicz, crazy top game, really crazy power in his left hand. Like there's things like that on all those guys. You can kind of figure out like what their thing is. Jimmy Crute doesn't have that thing. Devin Clark doesn't have that thing, and Ryan Spann doesn't have that thing. So I can just train freely and just try to be as good as I can. So being in that position and fighting down in the rankings a little bit has allowed me to do that and just focus on myself.
Did you feel like you were being kind of served up to Jimmy Crute? He was a guy that they have high hopes for, and he's young. Did you feel like on that card, this was supposed to be a stepping stone fight for him, and it didn't quite go that way?
I think that it was one of those situations where it didn't matter either way. If I won, I'm already popular. I'm already kind of established in the division, and I just proved myself. You know, the old dog beats the young up and comer. It's an easy story to sell, and it blows Jimmy Crute through the roof if he beats me. So I think it's a win-win situation for the UFC, and I think that's why they made that fight.
And so after that fight, were you expecting a big name? Like, as you said, it's not going to be, 3-4 fights. Were you expecting, again, not trying to rag on Spann at all, but like, did you think you would get a top tier guy? Were you disappointed with this booking?
No, I expected Spann. And I didn't have a lot of time to think about it either. And maybe this is where he gets so pissed off at me, because I've told this story since, now that the fight is actually happening. They offered me the Rakic fight, or the Spann fight, a week after my last fight on short notice, and he accepted it right away. I don't remember who ended up fighting, but they needed a main event like the very next weekend, and I said that I would jump in and I would fight Ryan Spann, and he said yes initially, like right away, and then called back and then decided not to fight. Said it was a weight cut issue or something. And I suspect that he probably jumped the gun, decided to fight and said, yeah, I'll do it. And then talked to his coaches and they said, no, that's probably a stupid idea. Because I just fought and I don't know if he'd been training. So, I just kind of started getting into vacation mode. And the very next week, the exact same situation happened. Same deal. Ryan Spann, week's notice, main event. I said, yeah, let's do it. And then he said no again. So whoa. I suspected that was the fight they were going to make. So I just told that story recently. I'm not trying to shit on him. I'm just that's why I expected this was going to be the matchup, because this is the one they wanted a week after I fought.
I wonder why this was the one that they wanted so badly. Do you know?
I don't know. They'd come with Johnny Walker before, and it was a date thing. Because like, once he said no the second time, I was like, all right, I'm done until September. I'm not fighting at all, because I take the summers off with my kids. So then they'd come with Johnny Walker, but Johnny didn't want to wait, and I'm not cutting my summers off unless it's a title shot. So, and then they said Ryan Spann didn't want to wait, and I was like, well, I guess we'll figure it out, at the end of the summer. And then he came back and said he'd wait.
When are we going to see Anthony Smith in the booth?
I don't know. I hope soon.
You want to do it?
I do. I really like calling live fights. I really love working the desk, though. That's a lot of fun.
I think you'd be great in the booth.
I've done it on the regional scene before. I've done it for James Krause's show, and I've done it just on like smaller regional shows. But I think that I kind of have to wait for my turn, because kind of the U.S. stable of guys is kind of set. Like, I don't deserve an opportunity, of head of Bisping or DC or Felder or, Dom. But I would guess that those guys are probably going to want to stay stateside when we start traveling again. Mm. They're not going to want to do all the international shows. And that's kind of the route that Felder took. Felder was on the road doing the UK shows and, Russia and Brazil and kind of the places that maybe DC didn't want to. So, unfortunately, as much as I really like Dan Hardy, he kind of did open up a spot for that international and, European scene.
Yeah.
So maybe when we start traveling again.
Yeah, that would be great. I think you're great. Like I said, I think you're one of the best on the desk. I've told you that privately as well. Did you like that? How does that even start? Did you ask to be a part of that, or did you kind of backdoor?
No.
Someone asked you to try
I never
that?
had any. Yeah, I never honestly, I've given a lot of credit. Obviously, Zach Candido's given me fantastic opportunities, but if it wasn't for Dan Hardy, I don't think I would have ever been in any of these positions.
Really?
When I fought Shogun Hua in Germany, Dan was working that event, and I never, it was my first main event, so they never spent a bunch of time with me, like in production meetings and trying to figure out who I am. And I went in, and Zach's in the meeting, and Lappy's there, and Dan is there, and we just start talking about fights. We're not even talking about my fight. It's me and Dan are just rapping back and forth about philosophies and approaches, and we're just geeking out. And we realized, Zach goes like, all right, guys, we've been here 20 minutes. We haven't even talked about your fight. So we didn't, we talked about it a little bit, but then they added this thing they called Facebook Live to my media schedule. And it was just me, Dan, 2 chairs and 2 microphones. And they just turned it on and we just talked. So then from then on, that was always part of my media schedule. And it was just this new thing that me and Dan did, and they just put it out on Facebook Live. So then from there, Dan had a Sirius XM radio show at the time he was hosting. And the Tuesday after every pay-per-view, Dan asked me to come on, and we would just talk about fights. So, the fallout from the main event, co-main event, where's the winner go, where's the loser go, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And he called it the Lion's Den. I thought it was super cool. Well, then Dan couldn't do it anymore because his UFC schedule was really ramping up. So he gave me his radio show. That's how I had my radio show on Sirius XM.
Wow.
So then I started hosting it with RJ. And then Jon Jones was getting ready to fight Alexander Gustafsson. And at that time, I'd done the Lion's Den. I had a lot of added media obligations because I was doing really well with that, kind of break down fights and I guess able to not sound like an idiot, I guess. And they asked me if I was, and I was getting close to a title shot. So they asked if I'd be willing to come on and work the desk for that one event. And, and then that's when Michael Bisping kind of saved my ass because I was so scared. I was so nervous. Like
really?
I shelled up in the rehearsal, and I was sitting next to Bisping, and he turned to me and said, "Hey, if you get, once we're live, if you get nervous or you get lost or you freeze, just look at me. I always got something to say." So I never had to do that, but that I guess that safety net, knowing that if something bad happened and I freaked out, that Bisping would be there to kind of save the day, really helped me open up a lot. And they wanted, they gave me another opportunity, and it's just kind of steamrolled into where we are now.
What I like about it is it's not over the top. It's not too crazy colorful. It's analytical. It's well put, well thought. I got to do it once with you in Houston. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun. Unfortunate circumstances because Chael's wife got sick, and so he had to leave.
Mm-hmm.
But we got.
I think sometimes I could put a little more energy into it.
Be yourself.
That's just not my style. I'm very analytical, and I'm very black and white. Here's what they're doing. Here's why they're doing it. Here's what they could do better. And I just nerd out. I'm really good at nerding out on the techniques and explaining to people in a way that maybe it helps the more casual fan understand why someone's doing something. But I'm probably never going to be the Joe Rogan DC going crazy guy, because I think I've just been in the sport too long. It's going to take something like the Ben Askren, Masvidal knee to get me super hype and out of my seat, because I'm so dug into what's going on technically that that's just not my style, man. I'm pretty laid back.
True or false? Jon Jones will fight again.
I mean, if you asked me that a couple months ago, I just said true for sure. I would say a very light true. I'm bullish on it, but true.
You're starting to lose hope.
Yeah, I am.
This is weird, right? This is a little weird. What's going on?
I don't know, man. I just, I hate to I always feel like I'm kind of stealing Chael's lines a little bit, but you don't get better at something by not doing it. Chael says that all the time. You don't get better at something by not doing it. So I just, Father Time is undefeated.
Right.
And Jon's been, I don't think Jon gets enough credit. He's been in a lot of fights. He's been in a couple wars recently, in the latter part of his career. He's been in a lot of training camps too. and I don't. I've been in it with the dude. I know there's times where they said Jon wasn't training very hard. There's no way he can do a lot of the things that he does without training at the highest level. So I've heard a lot of stories about guys that he's brought in. Like, he's spending money, he's bringing in monsters. I mean, that's a lot of training camps for a lot of title fights. It's a lot of 5-rounders. It's a lot of damage on your body. Sitting around isn't helping. So what I don't want to happen is Jon to come back, lose if that happens, and then it be because he had a long layoff, and then whoever happens to be the one to beat him, it doesn't get the true credit that they would deserve for doing that.
Yeah, that would be unfortunate. I mean, you nailed it. Chael nailed it. Like, there's only that short window, and if you look at the last few performances, I thought Dominic Reyes beat him. Thiago Santos took him to the distance. It looked like he was becoming a lot more human. And so you wonder, he comes back after this long layoff, especially in a bigger weight class, something might happen there. So I was just curious to get your take on that. Glover or Jan, who do you think wins?
Oh man, I don't know, and I really like Jan. Huge fan of him and how he carries himself. I think he's a fantastic champion, fantastic competitor. I hear nothing but good things about who he is as a person. I'd love to drink beer with him sometime, but God damn it, I just need Glover Teixeira to win. Not because he beat me and it makes me look better. I just think that, like, that man just deserves it. Like, if Glover Teixeira can sail off into the sunset someday, at least for that moment in time, wearing a 12-pound gold belt around his waist, like, I just think that put a lot of good into the world, that gives a lot of people like me hope, and it motivates a lot of the older guys, and it's just a feel-good story. So I hope Glover, but I think Glover can win as long as he avoids the big shot. I think that whichever guy can end up on top first, I would suspect will be the guy that ends up winning that fight, because I would guess if I'm Glover, I'm going in that fight figuring out how to get to Jan's body without taking a huge shot in the process. If Glover gets on top of him, I don't see Jan getting back up. I don't see Glover finishing him though. But he's got the gas tank. He can wear him out. He can be heavy on top and just chip away at him like he did Thiago and me.
What a great story that would be. I mean, both guys so well liked. You hate to say,
you know what? And I say that because they both are deserving champions.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, if Glover wins, like, they both get to be UFC world champions for whatever amount of time that ends up lasting for. But if Jan wins, and that sucks, because then only one of them gets to do that. And I think those are two guys that are both good enough to be world champions, and they're both deserving of it. And I think that having both of those guys in the division, two older guys, two really good guys, like kind of the good guys in the division, it's just one of those, like, we don't have to be, I guess we don't have to be pricks to make it, and to be successful.
Well, this has been nice, Anthony. Nice to catch up. Main event fight coming up for you. You had a small little break you had like this amazing run of main event fights. Had the little break with Jimmy Crute, but now you're back September 18th. Ryan Spann, no drama. We didn't talk about anything that get anyone else upset. I think we kind of stayed down. Not to say that you were worried about anything, but there were some tweets and stuff. You don't need to get into all that. Just down the middle here, just two old buds chatting away. It was nice.
Right. It's probably better we just leave that stuff and we just leave some of those people their own devices. They probably don't need any more piling on going on.
Fair enough.
Let's do our own thing. Ariel. Just live our own life.
That's right.
Look at you. You're super happy. You're like in this great mood. It's all positive vibes.
Yeah, until people come after me, because I said High Road Helwani no more. So you could take that route. You could take that route. I'm out to slay all the haters.
Well, see, no one important is really coming at me. No one that.
I've always been that guy.
See,
but
I wasn't going to say that.
Yeah.
Because I talked to
Anthony,
you
were there. You were one of the few people that saw Helwani in person in Houston. We don't need to talk about it.
We won't talk about it.
But hey, I'm happy to talk about it. The problem is the person in question will go run and start crying to everyone. So we don't need to talk about it. But you saw. Did you not see it? Did you not see Helwani in person?
So I got some really trusted friends that they're just people I share a lot of my stuff with. I was so excited to tell that story. The first thing I said, Ariel Helwani is a goddamn gangster.
That's right.
I was so pumped about it.
You heard it right here from one of the best fighters on the planet. I repeat, Ariel Helwani is a what?
Goddamn gangster.
That's right. Loop that. Put that on your ringtone. We'll tell that story one day when we're old men.
We'll tell it.
We'll tell it one day, and I was happy to experience it with you. For now, though, we'll leave it at that. Very happy for you. Good luck. Looking forward to it. September 18th, Las Vegas, Apex. Ryan Spann, he said a lot about this man. He's all fired up. Let's see if he backs it up on September 18th. Thank you, Anthony. Good luck, and looking forward to seeing you in action in, 10 days from exactly today?
Yeah. I'll talk to you next week.
All right. Yes, sir. There he is, the one and only Anthony Lionheart Smith, one of the good guys in the game. And